Just a little bit about me. I spent a year working as the HR business partner on assignment here. I spent 6 months in New Zealand and the other 6 months here in Australia. And today I'm going to talk to you all about a topic that I'm personally very passionate about, which is belonging in the workplace, and some of the things that we're doing at Shopify in this space. And so this picture here is taken from our mothership office in Ottawa, Canada, where Shopify was founded in 2004. And it's our mission to make commerce better for everyone. And for us at Shopify, we know that our culture and products are better when we have more voices, and in particular, when we have a workforce that matches the world around us. And of course, those voices are stronger when everyone feels like they belong at Shopify. And we define belonging just as that, as a fundamental human need that is satisfied when employees feel like they're valued, they're being heard, and they're seen. Humans are genetically wired to belong. It's something that comes organic to us. We all have a sense of purpose, a connection with the mission that results in engagement in the work that is meaningful to us so that we can develop, grow, and of course, develop our own skills. So the idea of belonging may seem like a fuzzy and warm notion, but the practicality is quite simple. It's something that is innately a part of who we are. And the idea, So for starters, I was expecting the speaker notes to be on the bottom, so totally threw me for a loop, but we're thriving on change. So now I'm like, okay, gotta look over here. So just to recap, when you do provide the space where your employees do feel like they genuinely belong at work, they're going to show up, they're going to feel more confident, and as a result, you're going to see that in their performance, and their productivity will certainly match that. And when it comes to belonging, psychology has recognized the importance of belonging. In fact, if anyone's familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's level 3. So the reality is countless studies continue to show that employees who do feel like they belong ultimately feel comfortable expressing their ideas, sharing their experiences, and contributing to a group when they know that their input is actually valued. And the other big element, and something that we really do take pride in at Shopify, is when an employee does feel like they belong at work, at the end of the day, when they're in a group setting or they're a part of a project, if the team doesn't pick up their idea, because they have that sense of belonging, they feel comfortable and confident, they're not going to think that there's anything innately wrong with them. At the end of the day, it's just not the right idea for us, and let's move forward with what makes the most sense for Shopify. And so for us, we do believe that in order for us to achieve that value of diversity and retain the talent, our employees need to feel a sense of belonging at work. And so why is it important? We know that diversity leads to more robust, multifaceted solutions to complex solutions. It leads to more innovation, higher organizational performance, and greater success. Companies that do offer an inclusive environment for a diverse mix of employees ultimately stand to innovate, they grow, and they outperform their competition. And at Shopify, we are a purpose-driven company that should not only serve a global audience, but that it should also be reflective of your workforce internally as well. It's an organizational imperative, and belonging is at the core of what we do. And a personal story, so for me, this was actually evident the day I stepped foot into Shopify. Just over 3 years ago, I was asked to come to a meet and greet. And at the time, I was working in a very corporate environment in banking. And so I got the invite to come after work, and I left the office. And when I got to Shopify, we were given a tour of the space. And immediately what I noticed were non-gendered single-stall washrooms. That freaked my freak. I think for me, having come from a banking office where you had female and male specific bathrooms, this was huge for me. And I'll tell you why. So being obviously visibly LGBTQ, part of the community, one of the things that I was constantly struggling with was walking into a washroom And often what would happen is the double take. And of course, that's the worst feeling you could possibly feel. And sometimes even being outwardly asked, are you in the right washroom? Or, oops, am I in the right washroom? So it was a constant ordeal of like, okay, if I have a meeting in a different floor, it was something I had to plan accordingly. If I knew I was going to go into a washroom, what are the chances that someone's going to walk in behind me or before me, and ask? And of course, because I was working in a very corporate environment, we had to wear business clothing. So for me, that was business pants, button-down shirts, more formal than what I'm wearing right now. And so walking into Shopify that day and seeing that stuck with me. Until this day, I still remember that. And that to me was that sense of belonging. I wasn't employed there. They just wanted me to see the office. And that for me was, okay, I could actually work here because this is an employer who is thinking outside the box and thinking of having that diverse workforce. And that's something that's just my personal experience. And other employees have shared very similar things as well. So it's very important to be intentional. And I think that's something that at Shopify, everything we build is designed with a human-centered approach. High care for us is a non-negotiable, specifically in the HR space, which is something that does not happen in most organizations. And so by being intentional with our inclusion practices in all areas of the business, it not only helps us attract, but also retain, which is a big one, and develop our talent. And we at Shopify actually have an entire team that's dedicated to this, and it's our employee experience research team. So this team was actually created to help our HR team, which we refer to as talent, to understand our employees' problems. So what they do is they actually conduct qualitative research to develop a deeper understanding of what Shopify needs, and they humanize the data and the people insights to help us make key decisions. And this internal research has actually helped us to, within our talent team, guide and build what we hope to be the best employee experience for employees, but also in anticipation for what the future needs are in the workplace. So through their research, time and time again, it keeps coming back that our people do the best work when they feel like they belong at Shopify, when they feel like they belong and they're a part of that mission. And this sense of belonging is not only a fundamental need, but from an HR perspective, it's also important to retain the talent. And so just some of the things that we're doing in this space, and of course, we're always looking on improving as well. We've actually built an intentional strategy and framework for Employee Resources Group. So at the moment, we have our LGBTQ, women, Black, Indigenous peoples, Enable, which is a group for employees who have accessibility needs, and our Latinx community as well. Each of the employee resource group is also initiated and led by employees, and they are sponsored by an executive member of the team. We also have existing communities for parents, religious affiliations, and mental health with freedom and support for people to create new communities. So one of the new employee resources groups that we're actually launching this year is for the Asian community. And of course, my personal favorite, non-gendered washrooms available at each of our offices. Like this should already be a thing all across, and it's still baffles me, especially when I do travel outside of Canada and actually even outside of the tech industry, still seeing gendered washrooms. I think that's something that we should be already far in advance, but I think slowly but surely things will start to change. And this is actually a really great one that we're excited. In 2019, Shopify became the founding partner of the Black Innovation Fellowship Group, which is a project to help encourage new entrepreneurs. So again, looking outside of the box. And what we've realized with entrepreneurs is, from a diversity inclusion perspective, what's really important is getting into the community and making sure that everyone has the same access. And for anyone who's looking to start a new business, some of the things that we often hear about is access to capital. And of course, it's usually the marginalized communities who don't have the same access to capital as others in a more privileged community. This is a great one as well. We last year introduced the Welcome Back program, which is a paid 3-month program designed to support developers who have taken an extended period of absence from the tech industry. So at Shopify, we constantly have a need to hire senior engineers and developers. And what we were noticing is that we were facing a challenge of identifying people that fit the skill sets that we were looking for. And in particular, many of these great engineers, predominantly women, were taking an extended absence from work to focus on their families. And when they were ready to return to the workforce, they were facing challenges, what some people in the tech industry refer to as like rusty engineers, because they've been away from work for a while, that they were having a hard time actually getting back into the workforce. So what we did is we introduced this program because we realized that it's much easier to just simply bring someone back in, train them, and help recover those skills versus bringing someone who's brand new and we still have to get them up to speed and train them and invest all that time. And this is actually a great opportunity for us to help quickly ramp up parents, particularly mothers who are returning, where they basically left off. A really great program, and we got a lot of great feed. And I think for us, one of the things that we're constantly looking at is pushing the envelope and encouraging other employers to also think outside the box and know that it'll eventually change. And it doesn't stop here. Like I said at the beginning, we are constantly looking at ways to improve. We're certainly not perfect. And of course, for us, measuring belonging is something that we're constantly looking at doing between our employee experience research team and our people analytics team. What we have determined, it's a collaborative approach when it comes to measuring belonging. And it really does mean working with leaders across different teams and offices across the globe where we do have offices to make sure that our employees are feeling that same sense of belonging. And also taking into consideration that what one employee in Singapore may feel as belonging to them will be completely different than an employee who is in Berlin. And for us, how we do that is by taking a data-informed approach. So like I mentioned, we do have our people analytics team, and what they're data scientists. And this particular group is actually, they work directly with our HR team, our talent team, to help us better understand everything that we need to know about our people at Shopify, which we like to call our Shopafolk. And by being data informed, it does help us as an organization to really see where the gaps are and help us make the changes that we need to. And again, when we do pair the research and the findings with our employee experience research team, it's been incredible because as a result of that, through engagement surveys, as an example, it's really helped us inform and create new initiatives and programs to support employees. So some of the things that you can do if you're a business owner or an employee and you're wanting to see and you have an opportunity to really influence change in your organization, I would definitely say start by getting to know your folks. I think that that's something we don't put in enough time. At Shopify, we have a program called Sidekicks as an example, where through Slack, you're paired up with a stranger. And it could be someone, it's happened a few times where it's like, oh, it's my peer. But it's still a good opportunity to connect with that person and get to know them. What's their day-to-day like from an HR perspective? And I think something that we really do pride ourselves at Shopify is we provide high care. And so we really want to, yes, we may work with a lot of the senior leadership team, but we also want to get to know the regular Shopafolk. What's going well? What isn't going well? And so getting to know your employees is very important. I would also say developing learning resources to support employees. Diversity and inclusion is important, but it's also important that we are training our employees, giving them the support that they need, assuming positive intent. I mean, there's a lot of things that we need to be mindful, pronouns as an example. So educating your workforce on the reason why we want to be mindful of these things is very important. And then, of course, be intentional about the outcome. It's not just a quota or a check mark. Creating a diverse and inclusive environment where employees feel like they belong, it does take time. It takes an effort, and it's an ongoing intentional process that we're each a part of. And of course, engage your employees throughout that process. They want to be a part of it. You'd be surprised. When it comes to our employee engagement surveys that we do annually, anytime there's a suggestion or the input that we're looking for, a lot of our folks are ready to actually help create and foster a more welcoming environment.